Hi everyone, welcome back to another lecture. Okay, today we're going to be talking about the economic impacts of globalization. So if you remember in the previous unit, we were talking about what actually drives globalization in today's world, right? Now we're going to look at what actually are the impacts of globalization. We'll start on the impact on the global and local economies. Okay, so this unit is a bit dry, okay, so bear with me. I'll try to make it as fast and painless as possible. Okay, so first we have to understand what the global economy is. Okay, clearly, every country in the world does contribute their own small little portion, okay, to the global economy, and of course, U.S. and China have the first and second largest economies in the world, respectively. Now, same thing, okay? The international economy is characterized essentially by trade, okay, where countries actually buy and sell goods and services from one another, and they can also invest in one another. Okay, and so that is what we call FDI. Okay, FDI is an investment that involve business, okay, or another country, okay, trying to essentially set up the operations or receive a certain level of investment. Okay, so usually these are countries or companies giving money, okay, to invest in another country's companies. Okay, why this is so is because they have identified the opportunity to actually be able to increase their own profits by launching, okay, their investment into a new market apart from the one that they currently are in lah. Okay, and when a country receives the FDI, it is essentially they get the money, not just the money but also equipment, the talent, and the expertise that allows them to upgrade their services and goods, right? And seek to earn more profit lah, so that the investor has a good return on their investment. Okay, and so that also links us to the idea of economic competitiveness. Okay, so it is really dependent on how quality and how available your infrastructure and technology that helps to sustain your business. It's also about the costs that you have to keep managing in order to run the business, and whether or not the country you are currently situated in is even stable to begin with. Okay, and indeed Singapore is the has been the world's most competitive economy for a while now. Okay, so essentially we're looking at a country where there is a uh, largely stable political structure, where it is directly connected to the open economy, and there are actually strong infrastructure, okay, present to help companies thrive. Okay, so first we look at the impacts on countries. Now, when there is a positive impact, okay, of globalization on economy, it's called economic growth, okay, for countries. Now, positive growth allows a country to earn more tax revenue, create more jobs, and raise the standard of living. This is a very standard line of argument. Okay, with more tax revenue, more things can be built, right? So more things can be built that will benefit the people, and when people benefit, their standard of living goes up. Okay, and with that, they also get more things that they want. Okay, in terms of the variety of goods and services they have, particularly for Singapore, because of the nature of how Singapore is situated. Okay, we have a very small domestic economy. We have little to no um, natural resources at all. Okay, and because of that, we actually need to rely on the global economy. Okay, just relying on our small little pathetic, okay, I won't call it pathetic lah, but seriously limited, okay, domestic market, it is really not a very sustainable way to manage a country's economy. And that's why since the 60s, okay, since independence, we have always sought to expand outwards, okay, to make sure that we are able to export our goods and services to other countries, and that depends on the access to the global economy. Yeah, okay, so of course, our position also helps to empower this, being right in the middle, okay, of the east and the west. Okay, the Singapore Straits is one of the busiest waterways in the world. And something that has helped Singapore's economy survive over the years is diversification. So what that means is essentially we don't just rely on one single industry to completely sustain our economy. No, okay. How Singapore does it is that we will diversify and we will change our economy to fit whatever is necessary for that particular time. Okay, so in the 60s, okay, when we first getting started, we had to use labor intensive industries to provide jobs. Okay, when other countries started to grow, okay, these companies would move to them, okay, because they have less labor costs, they have less land costs, and so Singapore had to change, okay, very quickly to focus on higher value industry. Okay, from the 80s, okay, this is when again we had to change towards more of a service sector, okay, more towards investments and attracting these investments rather than just plain labor force. Okay, and since then, okay, we have changed yet again, okay, to focus more on the financial services. We have focused more on investments, both attracting investments and also uh, getting a return on our investments overseas. Okay, and that will help to maintain economic growth in Singapore. Okay, so we do not maintain stagnant. Okay, we don't just we're not one trick pony lah. Okay, so wherever whatever we need, okay, for that time, whatever is popular, whatever is good to earn at that time, Singapore to its ability will be there to meet the demand. Okay, when it is negative, okay, when there's negative impact on countries, it is called economic vulnerability. Okay, so economic vulnerability, essentially we know that we are interconnected, right? But the problem with that is if one guy fall, everybody fall. Okay, if one guy fall, everybody fall, because you and me were connected ma. So if I GG, you also GG, right? So this is the idea of vulnerability here. When one country experiences a recession or a slump in their economy, okay, either, okay, you remain connected and you suffer from the same fate, or you employ what we call protectionist measures. Okay, protectionist measures is when I cut off this interconnectedness. I stop trading with you. I withdraw all my investment. I reduce my demand so that I can protect, okay, I can protect my own economy. I can shield my own economy from the essentially the troubles that are going on with the other countries' economies. Okay, so this helps, of course, the country that is being protectionist in the short term, but it has a very direct impact on other countries' economy, which will make their situation even worse, right? So just imagine that if today, for example, a country cuts off this economic uh, relationship, okay, with another country, the other country is already going through a very tough time economically, and then now they lose a very big customer, okay, their economy is going to suffer even more. Okay, so that is the problem with globalized economy. Okay, when there's vulnerability, either you get affected by everybody else, or, okay, if you are the first one to get affected, everybody don't want to be your friend, and then suddenly you are lost. Okay, and that is one of the biggest problems with globalized economy. Many examples. Okay, the most poignant one would be the global financial crisis, which started in the US. Okay, I'm not going to play the video because I'll get copyrighted. Okay, but essentially what happened was that there was a very bad speculative thing in the real estate market in the US, and then everybody went bankrupt essentially, and the US economy tanked. Okay, and because the US economy is greatly linked to basically every other country in the world, it being the largest economy in the global economy, everybody suffered. Okay, because you and me, okay, we are interconnected to one another, but we are both interconnected to the US. So if the US gonna, everybody gonna, okay, and everybody suffer, and that is exactly what happened during the financial crisis. Okay, yeah, so you can, I'm sure it's not super important, okay, you just need to understand that because of how we are all connected to one another, when the world's largest economy, that's the US economy, fell, okay, everybody will start to weaken. Okay, so China went into a loss of jobs, severe drop in FDI. India saw a severe drop in FDI. Unemployment rate went skyrocketing high. Okay, Singapore was not spared. Singapore also went in a terrible, terrible recession at that point in time. I think some of you might not be born yet, okay, but you can ask your parents about it. Okay, recession was horrible. Okay, and that was because we had no choice, right? We cannot employ the protectionist measures like other countries. Our lifeline relies on the global economy. So even if everybody else start to fall, we also cannot close, because if we close, we find death. If we don't close, we also find death. So basically, we are caught between a rock and a hard place, right? So this was our problem. Okay, and this financial crisis really showed us the vulnerability that Singapore was in, okay, when we are connected to the global economy. Okay, so a lot of different things, examples you can use: coronavirus. Okay, you can see all the major stock indexes fell like mad. Okay, US China trade war, when Trump and Xi Jinping started to have a little fight, okay, over manufacturing and the trade deficit. Basically, they say, oh, you don't like me, I don't like you, you cost me money, you steal my jobs from me. Okay, but no, you are the one that actually steal the jobs from me. Yeah, basically that is that kind of childish behavior lah. Okay, but that childish behavior resulted in billions of dollars, okay, being affected, okay, between the two second and the first largest economy in the world. Okay, so tariffs being taxes. Okay, you can think about it as taxes. So whatever is being exported from China to the US is taxed heavily. Whatever is exported from the US to China is taxed heavily. Everything gets significantly more expensive. Okay, and that strained the relations, but it also increased the cost for basically everybody in the world, because somehow or rather you have to go between one of these two economies, and that cost between the two of them, the interconnectedness, is becoming weaker because everything is getting more and more expensive. Okay, so that is the ripple effect it has on everybody that's interconnected between these two countries. Okay, they have a ceasefire, didn't work. Okay, simple as that. Russia Ukraine. Okay, Russia Ukraine, after they are launching the attack in 2022, okay, there was a very significant increase in cost, because Russia is a significant supplier of oil and gas, which everybody needs. Ukraine is a significant producer of agricultural products, food lah basically, and everybody needs food. So when these two countries go to war, what happened? We don't get access to either the oil, the gas, or the food. So in order to get these things suddenly from other countries, or to have to go through a very long and extensive process to even get the resources from these nations at war, okay, it drives up the cost very, very much significantly. Somehow Russia is isolated because of sanctions. Okay, and again, you are now isolating a giant country from the global economy, and they have a lot of things to offer. Okay, we are essentially forcing the interconnection to be cut. Okay, and again, that destroys the already established supply chain, which again causes more disruption for all of us, causing more money we have to pay for all of us. Okay, that is part of the problem of being interconnected. Yeah, so even though we are so far away, we still get affected, you know. Okay, I don't know if you remember, but back then a lot of food prices suddenly went up, because now everything is expensive, right? You buy egg also expensive, you buy rice and grains also expensive, everything was expensive. Okay, and it was partially due to this Russia-Ukraine war. Israel-Hamas war still going on, all right? I think you know it by now. uh how does this affect the economy? It does. Why? Because you realize that the Middle East is home to some of the world's richest oil deposits, and we all need oil, okay, to basically sustain our day-to-day country's functioning. Okay, and so oil prices actually shot all the way up to $150 per barrel. Okay, and that would have caused a very major recession. Okay, some more. Okay, the Red Sea and essentially the Suez Canal, where almost, I think, more than 80% of the world's goods passes through the Suez Canal. Back then, okay, in 2023 at least, okay, Houthi rebels in Yemen were starting to attack, okay, vessels in that Suez Canal Red Sea region. Okay, and ended up, okay, a lot of countries vessels had to go all the way around the African continent, okay, just to get to the same place. Again, disruption, more money. Disruption, more money. Okay, you can see how there's a common trend here. Whenever there's a crisis, because we are all connected to one another, everybody taiji is my taiji. Everybody problem is now my problem. and we all suffer the cost of it, which is why a lot of countries are moving towards protectionism. Yeah. Yeah, so essentially this is the area where they're starting to bomb and attack certain ships back then in 2023. Okay, now on individuals. Positive of globalization is that you get more employment opportunities. Why? Because number one, globalization allows us to have economic growth in a country. Okay, when there's more economic growth, naturally there will be more opportunities because more employment will be available. Additionally, okay, when we are open to the economy, there will be a larger market. Okay, so not only we are selling to our neighbors, okay, the people in our country, we are selling now to the whole world. And because the whole world is a lot of people, okay, obviously you will need more manpower, okay, to man such demand and to be able to supply such a high demand. Okay, so that actually gives us a livelihood. Some more, MNCs, okay, MNCs now have increased investment, so they are willing, okay, to use more advanced technology to get better returns, and therefore, okay, there will now be jobs that require higher skills and therefore also higher wages. So you can potentially earn a lot more money if you upskill and you're becoming proficient in this technology. Okay, some more. Okay, fourth one. Okay, with digital transport, with sorry, not digital transport, digital tech and transportation, I can now not only find jobs in my country but jobs in any country around the world. I'm no longer just limited to whatever jobs I have within my country. Okay, at the same time, this is very ironic, and globalization, you'll start to see the irony very quickly. Okay, yes, it brings us employment benefits, but at the same time, it also brings us employment challenges. Why? Because number one, okay, the problem is once you or your country becomes too expensive, when it grows too much, when the standard of living gets too high, okay, there's a tendency that MNCs will relocate. Why? Because it's cheaper elsewhere. The moment you start to demand for a lot more wages, the moment rights are demanded, the moment we increase land prices, okay, they will leave. Why? Because they can find the exact same labor other countries but pay a lot less. Okay, and that actually causes severe unemployment. Some more, AI, automation. Concern is that more menial tasks like sorting and those labor intensive operations will suddenly go obsolete because we now have robots, okay, rather than humans, okay, doing all these operations that can do that 10 times faster, and they don't even have to pay a living wage to these robots, just need to repair them. Okay, some more. Okay, just as more people can go overseas to find job, more people will come to your country to find jobs. Okay, and we have covered this problem before in diversity, right? Greater movement of labor equals greater competition. Okay, so more people who are willing to work your job for less money will come and compete for you with the job for you. Okay, sorry, compete for the job with you. Okay, and so you are now essentially worse off because of that, and you are essentially restricted a lot more technically. Okay, so in Singapore, the way that you have been taught, okay, that the government is responding to it is all the subsidies the upskilling measures, the skills future. Another concept that you might want to think about is tripartism. Okay, this is essentially where the trade unions, okay, the employers federation and the Ministry of Manpower work together to maintain Singapore's economic competitiveness, and at the same time make sure that people don't get exploited. So that's how you're trying to manage, okay, between not having so much restriction but also being able to earn a lot of money. Okay, so you can read up about tripartism. Okay, I think it's a very unique concept, okay, that Singapore has done quite well in. Okay, so we've discussed the impacts on countries, we've discussed the impacts on individuals. Now, how do we respond to those impacts? First, let's look at the government. Okay, first way we do it is through cooperation. So this is something we call free trade. Okay, when we have free trade, what exactly are we saying? Not that everything is free, no. It just means that between you and me, we agree we are not going to put any taxes on anything we export or import. So whatever I sell to you, whatever I buy from you, no tax on it. Okay, and that allows for greater savings lah, and it would incentivize people to trade between these two nations. Okay, so bilateral, there's multilateral FTAs, not very important. Okay, but examples include Singapore Australia FTA and the EU Singapore Free Trade Agreement. Okay, both are examples of free trade agreements. Second way we do it is by attracting and making foreign investment. Okay, so in Singapore, all right, we have a tendency to try to invest in things that we know will actually get us a very good return. Okay, so MAS, okay, MAS is in charge of managing our reserves and attracting people to come and invest in Singapore. GIC is the one taking the money and investing it in other countries. Okay, so both actually work in tandem to make sure that we always have this ebb and flow, okay, of people investing in us. We invest the money in other people and we start to gain from it. Okay, so that's how we actually maintain, okay, and respond to any vulnerability that we might have. For the people, okay, we're also looking at financial support. Okay, so essentially, because we do not want people to suffer, okay, from the economic impacts of any vulnerability from globalization, government continuously provides financial support. For example, during COVID, right? So during COVID, you have your stabilization and support package, you have your care and support package. Essentially, what they're trying to do is to give you money, okay, to tide you over the tough times. Okay, and the tough times is what we see as the negative impact of globalization, right? Again, other countries GG, we also GG, right? And the people suffer because of it. So now we give you money, okay, so that at least for these few years you can still live properly, you can still maybe eat a bit less, live a bit poorer, I guess, in that sense. Okay, but at the end of the day, you can still make it through. That is the key understanding here, that you can still make it through, right? And that is the purpose of financial support in this case. Yeah, so a lot of examples for you to use. We have also developing expertise is one of the ways we deal with vulnerability. So essentially we are encouraging, okay, companies in Singapore, okay, to essentially innovate. Okay, when they innovate, they offer something that nobody else offer. Okay, they now have a good share of the market. Okay, which means that now I'm offering something so new, so unique, nobody think of it before, and now everybody want to buy from me. So not only I sell to my own people, I can sell to the rest of the world also. Okay, and that allows companies to actually be more resilient in the long term. So things like SME Go Digital are ways that we're trying to develop Singaporean companies to become like this, to become an innovator, to become somebody that's able to captivate the world market. For individuals, actually you'll realize it's quite similar. First one, expertise. Okay, so government can incentivize the expertise, but who is the one that needs to develop? The individuals. Okay, this is why we always talk about lifelong learning, right? Skills future, upskilling, because they need to remain relevant. Only when you are aware, okay, of the most recent trends, the most recent advancements, can you stay up to date with the changing world out there. And that is how you are able to come up with innovations and new novel technologies. Okay, so upskilling, flexibility, okay, this is very important. Okay, this is life advice also technically. Okay, individuals also need to make sure that they save and invest. Again, you cannot always rely on the government to save you. Singaporeans, and in fact any other country, people also have to realize that they have to save and invest properly as well. Okay, so this is things that individuals can do. Okay, and of course skills future is one of the ways that the government has provided for individuals to go and try out, okay, to maintain relevant in a very rapidly changing world. So at the end of the day, what is our conclusion here? Okay, and you will realize that this conclusion applies for the next two topics as well. Globalization is a double-edged sword. Okay, however much benefit there is however much negative that comes with it. Okay, so it's really not about whether it's more beneficial, less beneficial, more detrimental or whatnot. There's always both sides to it. It is really how we respond to it, okay, that is really the one that matters. We're all vulnerable, we're all privileged the same way. It really depends on how we choose to view it, how we choose to respond to it when the worst comes worst, how we are able to seize the opportunities, okay, when they arrive for us, right? And that is it for economic impact globalization. So I repeat, all you need to understand, okay, for this topic is essentially the two actors, government and individual, countries and individual, okay, the positive and negative impact of globalization on both, right? And of course, how these two actors respond to the vulnerabilities as well. Okay, so that's it for this topic. I know it's a bit dry, it's a bit boring. I agree. I don't like this topic either. Okay, but it's something that we have to understand quite well. Okay, keep on studying. Okay, keep on working. You're almost there, right? The next two topics are coming up very, very, very soon. Okay, so all the best for your revision ahead and study hard. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.